is I want to explain to you why I believe that international anarchy means that the United States will always have a very large and powerful military. And then I want to talk about what the limits are regarding how you use that military. So, to start, what do I mean by international anarchy? As I'm sure many of you in the audience know, international anarchy is a catchword for saying that in international politics, there is no higher authority that sits above states that can rescue them if they get into trouble. The international system is basically comprised of states. States are the principal actors in international politics. So anarchy, in the lexicon of international relations scholars, is the opposite. It's the opposite of hierarchy, right? If you live inside the United States, you have hierarchy. You have a state that is very powerful, that sits above you. It has a police force associated with it. It has courts, and so forth and so on. In the international system, there's no higher authority. Furthermore, it's very hard to know the intentions of other states. And it is impossible to know the future intentions of other states, because you don't even know who's going to be running China or the United States or Russia in 5 years. So how can you know what their intentions are going to be? So you're in an anarchic system. There's no higher authority to rescue if you get into trouble. And there are states out there that may have malign intentions. And furthermore, there may be states out there that are really powerful. So if a really powerful state decides it's going to come after you, and you dial 911, you know who's at the other end. Nobody. And in a system like that, you have no choice but to have a powerful military. Your goal is to be the most powerful state in the system. And you want to be the most powerful state in the system because you understand that if you're weak and you get into trouble, nobody can help you. It is what we call a self-help system. You have any doubts about this? Go to China and ask them about the century of national humiliation. The Chinese were very weak from the late 1840s until the late 1940s. They call it the century of national humiliation. National humiliation. What happened then? China was weak and it was preyed upon. It was preyed upon by the United States, you know, the open door policy, Japan, and the European great powers. The Chinese are never going to let that happen again. They want their own state, and they want that state to be powerful. The same basic logic applies to every other state in the system, right? And this includes the United States, of course. And the United States, you all understand, worked very hard to become powerful. It started out as 13 measly colonies strung out along the Atlantic seaboard. We marched across North America all the way to the Pacific Ocean, acquiring and conquering territory all the way. We invaded Canada in 1812 for the purposes of making it part of the United States. And all those island countries in the Caribbean today would be part of the United States were it not for the slavery issue, because the northern states did not want more slaveholding states admitted into the Union. And of course, because of the sugar industry, there were huge numbers of slaves in the Caribbean. So the Caribbean did not become part of the United States. But we had a voracious appetite for conquest, and we built a very powerful military once we became the dominant state in the Western Hemisphere. This is just the way international politics works. Now, for most of you, that's bad news. But from my point of view, that's not the really important issue. The really important issue is how you use that military power. What I'm telling you is we're always going to be powerful militarily. The question is, what do you do with it? And this is where the United States has gone off the rails. At least